Hello everyone, my name is Hassan and welcome back to another Data in the Wild episode hosted by Data Meaning. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel below and click the bell to turn on notifications to be the first to know every time we upload a new video.
Today we're gonna implement a RFM customer segmentation model using Alteryx. RFM stands for the recency, frequency, and monetary value of every customer, which allows us to know how similar our customers are. The recency answers the question of how recently did the customer have a purchase or have a purchase with the company, and the frequency answers how often do they purchase, where the monetary value reflects their expenditure amount. First of all, we're gonna load our data set of the online retail store. It's an available online data set. We're gonna browse through our data set to check for the available columns and filter out the one we need and cleanse our data set. So as you can see here, we have multiple columns, but the ones we're interested in are the customer ID, the unit price, and the invoice date. And the customer ID column had 25% null values that we're gonna remove them from our data set, and we're gonna select only using the selected block only the columns we need for our video, which are we're gonna keep the invoice date, the unit price, and the customer ID. And we're gonna also filter out the null values. So we're gonna keep only the non-null values for the customer ID column. And we're gonna calculate the recency, frequency, and the monetary value for every customer. We're gonna select for every parameter the required column. So we're gonna start with our frequency. For our frequency, we only need the customer ID, so we can group by the customer ID to check how many times did every customer perform to purchase. So we're gonna use the summarize block and group by the customer ID and have the count. And then we're gonna use the tile block, which groups data into sets or tiles based on the values we have. So we're gonna give them like score between -3 and 3 for based on their frequency value. So we're gonna have it on the count column, which we have from the summarize block before. Let's run our workflow to check for this output. So here is the output of the tile block, which shows the frequency score for every customer, which is the tile num. We're gonna rename it and select only the customer ID and the tile num, and this one we're gonna rename it for the frequency score. And similarly, we're gonna calculate the recency for every customer from this select block below, where we gonna only have the invoice date and the customer ID, and we're gonna summarize by their latest invoice date. So we're gonna group by the customer ID and keep the latest date. and then we're gonna calculate the time difference between the latest purchase and the current date today using the formula block. So we're gonna create a new column. We're gonna call it date difference. We're gonna use the date time difference function. So we're gonna compare it to the date time now. With the max invoice date we have summarized, group by and summarized before, and we're gonna return results in days, and this column would be of a data type integer 16, and then we're gonna add tiles to group similar values. So if we run now our workflow, we should be able to see the recency score for every customer. So here is the recency score, and here's the date time difference we calculated from the function block. We're gonna add a select block to select the customer ID and the tile num column, and we're gonna rename it to the recency score, and then we're gonna calculate our monetary value, where we're gonna group by customer and summarize over the unit price. Then we're gonna create tiles for this summation of the unit price, and we're gonna also select the customer ID and the tile num column from the tile block, which we're gonna rename it to be the monetary score. Now we're gonna run our workflow. So you can see now here we have the monetary score for every customer, where we have 4.3k records, and this is the recency score, and this is the frequency score. Now we're gonna join those three parameters using the join multiple block. So we're gonna add the first score, the second and the third, and we're gonna join by the customer ID value. We're gonna keep the customer ID from the first input and frequency score, and no need to have the customer IDs from the other two tables. And now if we run our workflow, we should be able to see every customer with the recency, frequency, and monetary value score. Here we have it below. So you can see every column actually contains value between -3 and 3, and this enables us actually to differentiate between different customer behavior and create and optimize our marketing or our business based on the customer behavior we already have. Thanks for watching.
If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to know when future videos are posted. And thank you for watching.